So I've been using these OnePlus Buds 3 for just exactly around a month. In fact, I think I'm just off by a few days while I'm recording this, and I have to say that the build of this has held up pretty well. In fact, I really do like how this looks and feels because it has always given a very executive look, and thanks to the overall finish of this, in fact, they've given this sort of matte finish to the overall case. It's held up very well. You are not likely to get any major scratches and scuffs on a finish like this very easily, unless of course if you drop it and it goes scraping along a rough surface, but this has held up very well over these past 3 months. My only real gripe with these over all this time is still what I felt during my in-depth review, which is the finish of the earphones, because they've decided to go with a kind of a chrome-like finish. I mean, it does look nice, it is a very cool looking finish, but the problem with this is that it picks up a lot of sort of fingerprints. So when you hold it close, I mean when you look at it closely, the amount of fingerprints that show on this is quite crazy. So I've gotten into the habit of wiping them down before putting them in the case, just so that I can see a set of earphones that looks neat before I use them. So yeah, overall on a build front, I can't really complain about it. It's been only 3 months, so I haven't seen any issues yet on a build front. Nothing has come away, nothing is peeled off. Even the finish of the little touch control section that's sort of highlighted with a different finish is still holding up well. It's not worn out much. Moving on to the features of these earphones. Well, to be very honest, the one thing I really like more than absolutely anything else is the fact that it's got a slide control for volume, because that's the easiest thing to remember, especially if you keep shifting between various earphones, the touches and taps, and some have pinches and all this sort of stuff. It can get confusing, but the most natural thing is the slide up for volume and slide down for volume down. So up and down, which is pretty cool on both earphones. So especially if you're gifting this to your folks or some uncle or aunt for their birthday, they are not going to forget the volume up and down, whereas taps and touches can be forgotten. So this is one thing I really like, but of course most of its features are within the app. So let me quickly just walk you through what's in the app. So of course you have to use the Hey Melody app on an Android if you are or even iOS, but if you are using a OnePlus phone, it is kind of embedded within the settings as far as I know. But anyway, coming to the app, you can see your earphones battery percentages, your case battery percent as well. You can toggle between the noise cancelling and the off and on. Now I'm not wearing them right now, so I can't toggle between it, but you do have the sound master EQ, which you can toggle between the balance, serenade, bass, bold. You do have a bass wave control, so if you by any chance want a lot more bass with this, you can just play with that slider. And I normally don't use it because by itself, by default, even on the balance mode, these are very bass heavy. So these are bass centric and loud centric. And then of course you get the golden sound, which is for a sort of a hearing test you can do with these. And it will give you a custom sort of map out for your hearing. And then it does have the OnePlus 3D audio, so you can use this if you want a more immersive experience with your movies or with your games while watching. I prefer having this off because I like my audio in stereo, and also when it's on this mode, it tends to sort of thin out a bit, so I don't like it for music. And then moving on, it does have the game mode, which is cool. If you do want to see my latency test, head on over to my in-depth review. I do have a latency test there along with other tests. Dual connection works well. I've tried it with my iPad and my phone, and I've not had any issues. Especially when I get a call on my phone, it does an immediate handover, so that works well. And then you get your earbud fit test, find my earbuds, which is a cool feature to have. And of course you do get your firmware version, and right now it's up to date. And you do get these are all your customization in the earbuds control, so you can sort of customize these to a certain extent. And it's nice that it has the single tap feature, because the Realme Buds Air 5 Pro didn't have it, but I think somebody mentioned there's a software update for that. I'll need to check that out and see if they've added a single tap on that set. But this is pretty much what the app does, and it's got what you need really. It's got all the controls, and I've not really had an issue. Hey Melody has come a very long way. 4 years ago, they used to be very glitchy and it used to keep crashing, but right now Hey Melody is very stable, and it's almost like it's not a separate app altogether. It is quite bespoke with sort of OnePlus, Oppo, and well, not Realme, but with OnePlus and Oppo, it works pretty well. And then moving on to its active noise cancelling. Well, I have not really had any issues with these. I find them to be pretty good. They do mute the rest of the world very well. In fact, I've done a comparison with this, the Realme Buds Air 5 Pro and the Oppo Enco Air 3 Pro, and this does seem to isolate higher frequencies that the Oppo was letting in. So I'd say this is pretty good. It is almost at par with the Realme Buds Air 5 Pro. That might be slightly better, or I'd say they're more or less at par, more than anything else. So as a performer with active noise cancelling, it's pretty good even if you're going for a walk on the road. So that's one thing I'd say be careful about. In fact, you might have to have transparency mode on, because the active noise cancelling is so good that you may not hear a car or a motorbike coming close to you. So you have to be aware of your surroundings when you're moving around. But of course, at home or if you're traveling, it's a very good performer with the active noise cancelling. Now, the same microphones that help with the active noise cancelling also do contribute towards the environmental noise cancelling for any phone calls you may want to make. Now, I do have a demo in my in-depth review. You can head on over there to check it out, but I don't think the software has updated or changed ever since then. But if you do want to see how your voice would sound being carried over to your recipient, here's a quick demo to show you how it would sound. So I'm calling you from the usual busy street. I do all of my call tests from, just to give you a sense of how much noise these earphones are going to be battling. So as you can see, there's a whole bunch of two-wheelers, four-wheelers, three-wheelers and some trucks behind me. You might get the occasional pressure horn from a truck as well. And there is of course some construction still going on behind me, which is never ending. So anyway, I have been on the camera microphone all this time just to give you a sense of how much noise these earphones are going to be facing. And I will switch over to the OnePlus Buds 3 microphones right about now. So this is the overall tonality you can expect for your voice to carry over to your recipient. Now, I don't expect this to be any different compared to the in-depth review I did 3 months ago, because I don't remember doing a software update. So it should be more or less the same. Now, one thing I do in the in-depth review is toggle between the different ANC modes while I'm on a call to see if those put any added strain or load on the ENC algorithm, since both algorithms will be running at the same time. So you'd be the best judge to see whether or not there is a shift between those modes. And if you don't want to give that a listen, I will leave the in-depth review down in the description below. So you can check out that review. I go into a lot more detail than I do in my long-term report. So anyway, this has been the demo for the OnePlus Buds 3 for call test. And of course, you'll be the best judge to see if you do like this vocal tonality being carried across. So I do hope that this call demo has given you a better understanding for these earphones. And I will see you back at the studio. On a battery front, I have not used this for very long periods of time because I don't like to have earphones in my ear for more than 2.5 or 3 hours. It's not advisable to keep your ears sealed for that long in particular. So usually when I have these in my ear for that long, I find that it's maybe sitting at around maybe 50% or a little more. Now this will vary depending on what kind of codec you're listening to, as well as what volumes you're listening to this at. So I normally listen to this at maybe I'd say 30% volume. So it's more than loud enough for me there. So I think why it's sitting at about 50% is because I do take breaks. So if I'm listening to it for about an hour, I'll pop it off and leave it sitting for a little while, and then when I come back, I'll sort of switch it on. So there's those gaps where it's not necessarily transmitting data or on a constant. So maybe that's why because it's on, it's depleting. But if you are listening to this, I'd say at louder volumes, you will get lesser than claimed battery life. And right now, even at this stage, at 3 months of use, there is not going to be much battery degradation. You should get pretty much the same amount of battery life that they claimed when they were new. I'd say degradation might start maybe later on, 9 or 10 months later. And if you are facing serious battery degradation where it's not holding charge within that 1 year, just head on over to a OnePlus service center and get a replacement immediately, because once you cross that 1 year mark, they will not honor a warranty. Moving on to how these sound. Well, in typical OnePlus fashion, these are loud and these are bass heavy. In fact, I remember the OnePlus Buds Z2 also like that. They were the loudest set of earphones I heard. In fact, I think this is more or less at par with that one's loudness, because most TWS earphones, I'll listen to them at around maybe 35 to 40% if I really wanted sort of to balance out and enjoy everything. This I'm fine at 20%. I'm fine at 25%. 35 gets a little too loud. 50% is maybe too much for me. It just gets too loud for me. So if you're someone who likes loud music, this is a great set to go for. But also at the same time, keep in mind, don't listen to music for too loud for a prolonged period of time, because you can damage your hearing in the long run. So it's good to be careful with that. So anyway, moving on to the rest of the details about the sound. Well, it's not my favorite when it comes to its highs and mids performance, because the highs and mids do sound very veiled. In fact, the detail on this is sort of it's coming through kind of, I wouldn't say something as thick as a carpet, but maybe a few bed sheets, because it's not very crisp and very detailed, at least compared to its siblings from Oppo and Realme. Those are crisper and richer in detail. So on a sound front, those are slightly sharper. This isn't, but OnePlus's focus is not that. I mean, it's good enough. A lot of people are going to like how this sounds, but when it comes to its bass in particular, man, it's a big sounding set of wireless earphones. It has a weight, it has a size to it. In fact, on its balance mode alone, I find it to be a little too bass enthusiastic. So I think this has been made for the masses. A lot of people do like heavy sounding bass, full sounding bass. And if you're an audiophile, you will refer to this as being bloated. So if you are not an audiophile and you do want a big heavy sound and you're okay with a lot of details missing, I mean, it's not going to be as crisp as these other two earphones, this is the one to go for. It is a very fun and enjoyable set of earphones to listen to for sure, especially on a sound front, because name whatever genres you want. If you want EDM, if you want metal, if you want rock, that kick in the bass, that energy, that excitement this has, it is big and enjoyable. So overall on a sound front, I think a lot of people will like this, and in fact do like it because of how it's been tuned, especially with the loudness and bass. But I do find it kind of lacking in the highs and mids because I'm a bit particular with sound. So after 3 months, would I still recommend these earphones? Well, honestly, I like how it's held up. It's not exactly gone through a very rough sort of usage over the last 3 months. I haven't picked up any real issues with these over all this time. I maybe at a 6 or a 9 month long-term report, I might have picked up some issues with this, because these normally don't give trouble so quickly. But all in all, super build. And also on a sound front, it's not for me, but I think it's for a lot of other people. Terrific loudness and terrific full bass, and you can even control the bass from within the Hey Melody app. So all in all, I'd say a lot of people are going to like this. Its call quality may be, it's not the best, especially compared to the Realme Buds Air 5 Pro. But if you are okay with it, if you've missed it, head on back over to the call quality chapter, and you can hear how it sounds in a busy environment. But that is your decision to make. But all in all, I would recommend this to most people. So anyway, coming to the price of this, well, at the time of recording this video, this does have a maximum retail price of 6,499 rupees. But you can make these yours for just 4,994 on Amazon right now. So I will leave the link down below if you would like to buy these. And of course, at this price, I think it's super value for money. I mean, you're getting a nice executive looking set of earphones. Good with loudness, good with bass. I think a lot of people will be happy with it. So I hope you found this video helpful and informative, and I do hope that I've helped you make some sort of purchase decision. If you would like to help support the channel, I'm sure you know exactly how to. But of course, thank you for tuning into Paul's POV for some sound advice.